The clock of destruction is ticking. A deadly heat wave is sweeping over the entire Earth, with no end in sight. The future holds only total annihilation. Because every day the Earth is falling closer and closer toward the Sun, there is no doubt that as Earth goes toward the Sun and temperatures increase, the ice in Antarctica will melt, and that will cause the ocean levels to rise. You cannot go outside. You try to turn on the air conditioning, but the power is out. All the water in our blood would begin to boil into vapor. Yes, we would boil. This would be the beginning of hell on Earth. The Earth travels around the Sun at just the right distance for life to exist. But what if our planet was suddenly thrown from its orbit by a rogue planet or star and was sent spiraling into the blazing heat of the Sun? How long could the Earth survive? It starts with two amateur astronomers watching the night stars, who suddenly find that their stargazing app, which has always been accurate before, isn't lining up with the night sky. The stars are in the wrong place. Normally, every night the stars and planets look like they're in slightly different parts of the sky, because the Earth is in a slightly different place in its yearly orbit around the Sun. But on this night, the stars and planets rise exactly where they did the night before. The reason the stars are no longer changing their position is that after 4.5 billion years, the Earth is no longer orbiting around the Sun. And the cause is over 90 million miles away. A rogue star called the Nemesis star, with more mass than that of our Sun, is moving through space and heading right in our direction. The Nemesis star's gravity is so powerful that as it passes, it affects the Earth, even across millions of miles. The dark star's gravitational pull on Earth matches exactly the energy of our orbit around the Sun, but it pulls in the opposite direction. Earth orbits the Sun at an average distance of 93 million miles. Now, with Earth's orbit interrupted, the gravity of the Sun is pulling us closer at a rate of 500,000 miles a day. And the closer we get, the hotter it gets throughout the planet. Strange weather patterns begin to appear. Out-of-season hurricane cells begin to form, sending thousands fleeing inland away from the rising seas. As 100-mile-an-hour winds slam into the coastlines, tearing apart homes and flooding the streets, hundreds of thousands of people begin to board up windows and pile up sandbags in front of their homes, while doing their best to stockpile food, water, and supplies. As the storm picks up strength, it moves inland and begins to threaten more than just the coastline communities. This is a monster cycle, and it is only growing larger. Thousands of people are suddenly homeless and struggle to survive against the raging storm. Some make it to safety, others do not get so lucky. But the real danger is the heat that is causing the storms. Just 14 days after being knocked out of orbit by the Nemesis star system, Earth is almost 7.5 million miles closer to the Sun, and temperatures are rising fast. People begin to hide in their homes from the blinding rays of sunlight. Temperatures have now risen over 30% worldwide, causing the ice masses of the world to melt at an accelerated speed, causing ocean levels to continue to rise. The weak and the elderly become the first victims as the heat becomes unrelenting. The most common cause of death is heat stroke. When the core body temperature exceeds 105 degrees, it affects the central nervous system. The heat can shut down your body and kill you. Suddenly, drinking water is more important than ever before. As the need for water overwhelms the supplies, people begin to panic. Only 3 weeks after the Earth was forced out of orbit, the Earth is now nearly 13 million miles closer to the Sun. Rivers and reservoirs are evaporating quickly around the world from the extreme heat. Around the equator, the heat is now pushing 130 degrees or higher. Some try to move to higher, colder locations as temperatures continue to rise throughout North America and Northern Europe and Asia. The snow is melting at an unprecedented rate, causing massive flooding. As we get closer to the Sun, there is now a death wave that is moving both directions towards both poles. People have to keep moving further and further north or south to stay alive. People try to head to the Arctic Circle, or Antarctica, because these locations are at an oblique angle to the Sun's now massive rays. The temperatures in these places do not rise as fast, but time is running out. After just 5 weeks, the Earth is now traveling at 22,000 miles an hour and is only 74 million miles away from the Sun. The skies are streaked with blazing light as hundreds of satellites cascade through the air as fireballs. The atmosphere on the Earth is made of gases, and when they get hot, they expand. And that means that the low-lying satellites are going to start feeling a drag that they didn't feel before. That drag is going to destabilize their orbits, and because of that, they will begin to fall, just like a meteor shower. Cell phones and the internet also start to fail, because the electrical power grids are being pushed to their limits. Traveling at almost 42,000 miles an hour, the Earth is now just 68 million miles from the Sun, and the average temperature is an unbearable 169 degrees. The term nightmare doesn't really even apply anymore. Even in the Antarctic, the temperature is now 130 degrees, at the upper limit of what human beings can endure. Across the Earth, survival is no longer possible. Within days, the global temperature average is 217 degrees. That's 5 degrees over the boiling point of water. This is beyond human habitability. As the oceans succumb to the extreme heat, evaporation and steam begin to rise and spread over the Earth. The hot mist engulfs the entire planet, leaving nothing left alive. In just under 2 months, the oceans around the world are boiling, and temperatures on Earth now exceed 600 degrees Fahrenheit. Everything begins to spontaneously combust. Furniture ignites, structures burn. Gasoline vehicles begin to explode. It is now hot enough for gasoline to burst into flames on its own. Everything that has fuel in it begins to ignite at this point. Amidst the devastation, another force, the Sun's gravity, now begins to tear at the structure of the planet. The planet we once lived on is now only 6.5 million miles from the Sun and closing in fast. At 500,000 miles an hour, the whole memory of civilization is completely erased. There is nothing left, and no one left to talk about it with. Just 1 million miles from the Sun, and the Sun's gravitational pull on the Earth begins to change the very shape of our planet. The gravity triggers every single earthquake fault line. Massive tremblers shake the planet, and every volcano on Earth explodes as the Earth starts to get torn apart. Earth itself is pulled apart, and literally every bit of the Earth itself is exposed to the solar atmosphere. The Earth at its very end looks very much like the Earth at its infancy. A very hot ball of lava, deformed by the forces of the Sun. The gravity becomes so strong that Earth begins to be pulled into pieces. In the end, Earth is completely destroyed. And as for the Sun, it continues to burn brightly for billions of years to come. But for the Earth, this is the end of the story. Before Stephen Hawking's death in 2018, He very adamantly pushed for the exploration of new worlds. Hawking believed it was just a matter of time before a rogue event could destroy the Earth. And if humanity did not act now, it may be too late when they finally do. Was the late Stephen Hawking trying to warn us of an impending situation that he had been made aware of through his government contracts? Something he could not say, but nevertheless, tried to anyway. This has been the Confidential Report. For even more stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel today. And please show your support by clicking the like button on this video. For even more stories and news you deserve to know the truth about, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching the Confidential Report.